Aloha and welcome to the hearing with the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism and on Water and Land. Today is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. This is our 1 p.m. agenda and we are in conference room 229. This hearing is being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we must abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene on Thursday, March 20th, 2025 at 1:01 p.m. in conference room 229. We have a 1-minute time limit for all testifiers, and as we have various agendas to get through this afternoon, it is okay if you want to stand on your testimony. We do have your testimonies in front of us as well. The agenda has one bill, HB 504, relating to environmental stewardship. First up for the testifiers list, we have Will Kane with Office of the Governor.
Well, Chair, Vice Chair, Will Kane, Office of the Governor. We'll stand on our written testimony. We have some proposed amendments, and I'm here for any questions you have. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next up, Department of Business Economic Development, Director Tokioka.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. We stand in support of this bill, House Bill 504. We did also recommend some amendments, and in our testimony, it's listed in 1 and 2. So hopefully both of you can, or other committees can consider the amendments that we asked for this bill.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here for questions if you have.
Thank you. Next up, Director Chang with Department of Land and Natural Resources. Wow.
Hello, chairs. Aloha, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Ryan Kanako-Ole, First Deputy Department of Land and Natural Resources. DLNR stands on its written testimony in strong support of this measure. We believe that this is a critical investment in our natural, cultural and natural resources, and we've already identified for the next fiscal years, 2 fiscal years, about $440 million in projects that would go towards, either sustainable tourism, health, safety mitigation, hazard mitigation, or climate mitigation. So thank you. We're here for any questions.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
can we ask the testifiers to let us know what portion of the bill they're speaking to? Because there's 2 parts to this bill.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
sorry.
can you guys tell us what part of the bill you're speaking to?
As to section 1, in particular, section 2, we don't have any comments on, but we understand that it is a vehicle for investment in, the funding, to allow more funding, and we support
Bill
that too.
doesn't say that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Department of Taxation, Gary Suganuma. Thank you. Next up, Director Salaveria with Budget and Department of Budget and Finance.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members. Louis Salaveria, Director of Finance for the state of Hawaii. I'm here to speak on the provisions in part 2 of the bill, specifically as it pertains to the establishment of a reimbursable general obligation bond special fund. We do have some concerns. We do understand the need for part 1 of the particular bill, but we do recommend that some work be done on part 2 of the bill, specifically turning it into a regular special fund and the proceeds of part 1 being essentially the money that would be put into that special fund. Thank you, Chair. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Next up, Daniel Ho'opi for HTA.
Aloha, Daniel Naho, PE, Interim CEO of the Hawaii Tourism Authority. Aloha, Chair and 2 chairs and the vice chairs. The HTA stands on its testimony in support with comments, particularly to ensure that there's a nexus to tourism, since this is related to the TAT tax increase. And we have been working with various agencies to identify projects that we know are in line with tourism marketing, working on environmental areas that are impacted by visitors in resort areas, as well as infrastructure projects that will help the environment. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next up, Craig Nakamoto with Hawaii Community Development Authority.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Craig Nakamoto, Executive Director of HCDA. We stand in support of the measure and provided specific comments on the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Colin Lau with Deputy Attorney General.
Good afternoon. Afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. My name is Deputy Attorney General Colin Lau from the Attorney General's office. Our office offers comments on the bill The reason is that Article 3, Section 14 says that the title of a bill has to have only one subject, and the addition of Part 2 to the bill in the last draft seems to violate that particular provision. Our office suggests that we delete Part 2. I'm available for questions.
Thank you.
It's a question right now, since you're
Sure.
here. Thanks,
Yep, yep,
appreciate it.
Chair.
Okay, so your part 2 on the current HD2.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Gwen Yamamoto Lau for Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority. In support, Leah Laramie testifying for climate mitigation and adaptation in support. Hannah Lesiak, Hawaii Ocean Legislative Task Force in person.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committees. My name is Hannah Lesiak, and I'm here on behalf of the Ocean Legislative Task Force in strong support of HB 504. And you have our written testimony, but just briefly, I wanted to highlight that our task force is comprised of over 120 individuals from numerous organizations which care deeply about our INA and our oceans. And we believe that this bill will provide a crucial safety net for our environment and the climate impacts to come. And I want to be clear that these climate impacts are not a question of if, they are a question of when. And so we urge you to pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Blake Oshiro. In opposition for American Resort Development, Ted Bolin, Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committees. Ted Boland for the Hawaii Reef and Ocean Coalition and the Climate Protectors Hawaii. I want to, you have my testimony. I want to emphasize strong support for this bill, but a concern that the money that comes in for this bill go to environmental purposes. We have a huge underfunding of environmental needs, and this should not be the bill to throw everything else into. So I'd like to see a dedicated fund. I don't necessarily want to cut the legislature out of the appropriation. I think there's a way to do both. But let's get some money to the environment now, because it's security as safety as well as keeping things green. So please pass a version of this bill that supplies plenty of funding for environmental purposes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Jeff Mikulina, testifying for Hawaii Climate Advisory Team. In support, Maka Gibson, Resources Legacy Fund.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee. My name is Maka Gibson, and I'm a program officer at Resources Legacy Fund, a nonprofit where I lead our environmental equity and justice work. I grew up in Ewa Beach, but I now call Kaneohe home. Mahalo for hearing HB 504. We are in strong support of this bill, and we know what is most important is that it creates dedicated funding for natural resource stewardship and restoration. Next week, I'm going to Mokuokeawe to visit Ka'upulehu for the first time. And earlier, I was reflecting on the tri-weight model and how it's a perfect example of the community reciprocity that our state needs to adopt. For tourists, when they come to Hawaii, how can they malama and aloha our aina? Mahalo.
Thank you. Next up, Care for Aina Now Coalition.
Aloha chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. My name is Chris Cabrera. I get to represent our coalition of over 65 organizations and small businesses working on the front lines of environmental stewardship in Hawaii. They also represent hundreds of employees and volunteers in their networks. You have a written testimony, but I just want to emphasize the urgency for this bill this year. We've been organizing for years, and still our INA remains unfunded. And if we want to protect the resources that both visitors and residents rely on, we'll need to take bold action together this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Elizabeth Benishek with Nature Conservancy.
The Nature Conservancy will stand on.
Thank you. Next up, Nicole Galase on Zoom.
Yes, she is here on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you.
So she may be having technical difficulties.
We'll come back to her when you guys get her up and running. Next up, Tom Yamachika Tax Foundation of Hawaii on Zoom.
Good afternoon, chairs and members of the committee. This is Jade McMillan on behalf of the Tax Foundation of Hawaii. We've submitted some comments on the measure. Within our comments, we also question the need for the reimbursable general obligation bond debt service special fund under the criteria for special funds, they should be self-sustaining, and this special fund does not seem to have a means of support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Jocelyn Herbert, Resources Legacy Fund, also on Zoom.
Aloha chairs and vice chairs and members of the committee. Good afternoon. My name is Jocelyn Herbert, testifying from Hawaii Island today on behalf of Resources Legacy Fund, a member of the Care for Aina Now Coalition. We are in strong support of this bill because it offers visitors the opportunity to contribute to natural resources stewardship and restoration. And also it provides a durable and dedicated funding source that Hawaii agencies and community groups need to do the work to reduce increasing impacts of wildfires, floods, and coastal storms. As you heard, Hawaii is facing a $560 million annual shortfall to fund natural resource stewardship, work that is needed to safeguard our communities. And from recent polling, we know that 76% of visitors are willing to pay an annual fee like this if they know the funds will go to protect and restore land, water, wildlife, and cultural resources. And that number increases to 85% among repeat visitors, which I know are some of the industry's most important customers. Hawaii cannot afford to wait to advance these new sources of funding to address these needs, and we urge you to pass this bill. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next up, Mackenzie Chase, testifying for Expedia Group on Zoom.
Aloha. Thank you so much for the opportunity to offer comments today. My name is Mackenzie Chase. I'm here on behalf of Expedia Group, a family of brands that includes Expedia, Hotels.com, and short-term rental leader Vrbo. We stand on our written testimony, but very briefly, we are supportive of the proposed investments in Hawaii's natural resources, and we do not object to the proposed increase to the transient accommodation tax. However, we have significant operational concerns about Section 2, subsection F of the bill. A tax based on the form of payment is totally novel and would be very, very challenging to implement, so we are hopeful that that portion of the bill can be taken out. Thank you very much. Mahalo.
Thank you. Next up, Kikoa McClellan, for American Hotel and Lodging Association.
Chairs, we stand on our written testimony offering comments and some proposed amendments for your consideration for part one.
Thank you. Next up, Mufi Hanneman, Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association in opposition. Jerry Gibson, testifying Hawaii Hotel Alliance with comments. John Pele in opposition with Maui Hotel and Lodging. Stephanie Donoho, Holocaust Resort Association opposition. Joshua Hargrove, Westin Maui Resort and Spa in opposition. John Kimball, testifying for Marriott International Hawaii in opposition. Caitlin Miller, Maui Vacation Rental Association opposition. Kelly Lee, Astra Oahu in opposition. Jennifer Wilkinson, Hawaii Mid and Short-Term Rental Alliance in opposition. Laura Breyer, Hawaii Climate Action Coalition in support. Melissa Pavlicek, Care for Aina Now Coalition Leadership in support. Madeline McKeague. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Melissa.
Submitted as written testimony. Mahalo, my name is Melissa Pavlicek. I'm here today on behalf of the Leadership Committee for the Care for Aina Now Coalition. And I just wanted to emphasize in our testimony that the Leadership Committee did commission a study which established the gap in funding for natural resource protection and restoration. And it is so important for us to support this measure for many of the reasons that we've already heard. And we strongly support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Madeline McKeague, Director of Advocacy for Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement in support. Jody Robinson, Hawaii Alliance of Nonprofit Organizations in support. Pauline Sato, Malama Learning Center in support. Chris Cofield, testifying for Coalition Earth in support. Ted Kefalas, testifying for Grassroots Institute of Hawaii in opposition. Olan Lemomi Fisher, Kua Aina Ulu Amo in support. Pamela Tumpa, Maui Chamber of Commerce in opposition. Frederick Nicely testifying for Council on State Taxation with comments. Alika Pele Holani Garcia, Kuleana Coral Restoration in support. Devin Redmond, Ribbon Rock Maui in opposition. Sunny Cave for Honolulu, Hawaii in opposition. Debbie Bettencourt testifying for EGF LLC in opposition. Marcy Cortez testifying for Lee Resorts in opposition. Greg Nelson, Napilikai Beach Resort in opposition. Cedar Kehoe in opposition. Cedar Kehoe, are you here? Is that you, Cedar? Okay, please come. Yep.
This is testimony in opposition of HB 504, requiring the $20 a night transit accommodation tax to be levied per night. If that's no money exchanged, I believe is wrong. When you are going to realize your actions will be killing those of us who are seniors and who live on property and who want to travel and to get income for our lives. We will continue, you all continue to disregard the differences between those properties that are owned and occupied by the property owner and those properties that are not. An excellent example is the 30-day rule. The ruling of Judge Watson required that DPP's director should enforce based on the 90-day minimum for properties that do not have an owner living on site. The DPP director expressed that this was more work than they could take on and would take away from more productive work against the 30-day illegal renters. That's simply wrong. When she is allowing everybody to do the 30-day rental, this then flooded the market with 30-day rentals.
Can you wrap your testimony up? Your time is up.
Oh, I'll point out the important point. All property owners who live on site should have the same rules as those adjusted by Judge Watson. The enforcement should be 90 days for those that are not protected by it. A DPP should actually do their job and follow the rules of the judge, and you should stop enforcing additional fees on tourists. They're just not going to come. There's got to be a stop.
Thank you.
point.
Thank
Sorry.
you.
Thank you.
Next up, Aaron McGee.
Aloha, my name is Aaron McGee. I'm speaking in support of HB 504. In addition to my submitted testimony, I want to highlight that a visitor fee is not a new concept on Oahu. In 1990, before I was even alive, Hanauma Bay implemented a visitor fee to help protect and restore an area that was being overrun by 3 million annual visitors. Without that fee and the conservation efforts it supported, Hanauma Bay would likely be a degraded site today. A Hawaii visitor fee is a simple idea: protect the things that attract people to our islands. Today, Hanauma Bay continues to thrive despite its $25 fee, and a similar statewide initiative will not deter tourism. If anything, it will enhance the visitor experience by ensuring Hawaii remains a world-class destination. We cannot afford to prioritize tourism at the expense of the environment that makes Hawaii special. HB 504 is a step in the right direction, and I urge you to pass it. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you. Nicole Galassi on Zoom.
Thank you, chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee. Nicole Galassi on behalf of the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council. I apologize for my video not working. We support this measure and agree that there is not enough funding for environmental stewardship. The transient accommodations tax is a way to bring in much needed funding, but we also need to point out that the ranching community strives for the same goals of stewarding the land for future generations through providing ecosystem services while producing food, which provides an economic driver. We recommend that the state recognize this and ensure that the active ag lands that are under DLNR are supported to continue in agriculture by transferring them to the Department of Ag. If these leases stay with DLNR, they will not get renewed for agriculture, and that would be 11,000 acres that will continue to be managed by the rancher rather than DLNR needing to develop a plan and produce funding and personnel to manage it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have 23 individuals in support, 179 individuals in opposition, 1 individual also with comments. Anybody else in the room wishing to testify on this measure?
Chairs, vice chairs, members of the committee, Jolene Garridan Prieto on behalf of Kohala Coast Resort Association. We submitted written testimony offering comments, but we would like to provide additional comments, proposing 2 amendments. Particularly to section 1, add language to ensure that the TAT is collected on all accommodation types, as these additional revenues could be used to address legislative priorities, including climate change initiatives. And the second is to add a new section to establish a working group with the Department of Taxation and all counties to ensure equitable application of the TAT. Thank you for your consideration of these amendments.
Anybody else wishing to testify on this measure?
Hello, my vice chair and chair and other members of the committee. My name is Mapuana Hardikahaleo Umi, and I am a social work student at the University of Manoa, and I've been a land steward since I was 4 years old. I'm testifying in strong support of HB 504. Since its inception, the tourism industry has been significantly harming Hawaii's unique and delicate ecosystems. This industry continues to put our coral reefs, marine life, native flora and fauna, waters, and other natural resources in danger. While the denigration of Hawaii's aina is taking place at the hands of this industry, grassroots efforts and nonprofit organizations are severely underfunded that are dedicated to combating this issue. I have been working with Malama Aina organizations my entire life, and a consistent problem felt by the entities has been the lack of investment in our crucial work. Increasing the transient accommodation tax so that more efforts to further support and advance our precious and finite natural resources is a necessity and will help in mitigating the tourism-induced harms. Mahalo for your folks' time and the opportunity to testify. Mahalo.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to testify on the measure? Seeing none, members, any questions? Oh, Senator Fukunaga.
I guess this is for AHLA. There was late testimony submitted, I guess, offering suggested amendments. And
Yes, Senator.
And I guess of the amendments that were being proposed, AHLA was referencing commercial port visits.
That's correct, Senator. We support the idea that the transit accommodation tax should be applied equitably. And in looking at the visitor counts from our cruise ship industry, it appears that they have more than recovered since COVID. And we noted in our testimony that in 2024, there were 900 and, let me get the exact number here for you, over 970,000 unique passenger arrivals at different ports under the Department of Transportation, where there is levied a fee for the use of the ports, but no equitable fee for the provision of those staterooms or cabin rooms and the accommodations there. And so the idea would be to broaden the definition of the transit accommodation tax to include cabins and staterooms on commercial passenger vessels when they port at a DOT facility.
I see. So your recommendation is for the $20 per room per.
Our recommendation was to replicate the idea that in 504 to apply a $20 fee, but to apply that $20 fee to a TAT where it's not currently being assessed. You'll note that for points and miles programs, the TAT is paid. And so we tried to clarify that in previous testimony around sort of how that was constructed, but the idea of ensuring equitable application of the TAT wherever there is a transient accommodation was one that we were trying to support in this bill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Inoue?
Yes. Presently, no, that's for you. Presently, there is a fee.
Correct.
That passengers are presently
Correct.
paying.
Yeah.
And if I remember, I don't know where is DOT here. And I believe, well, it's kind of dated, and I believe it was $1.50.
It's more than that now.
It's more than, what is the cost now?
I believe it's $4 and $6, Senator, and depends on the port. And under Section 266, the fees are required to be spent within the Harbors Division. So it's effectively for the use of the harbors. And so this would, broaden that and allow the use of these funds to the general fund for the legislature and the governor's intended purposes.
Okay, wait, now you're talking about the use of that funds, but the use of the funds is for the present port entry fee that they're paying. But not the
Correct.
$20.
Under 266, correct. The funds that are collected are limited to harbors. Yeah.
Okay, and the distribution for the new $20 fee, because we're making the changes from the original 504. Do we identify that in the use of the $20?
We are kanalua on the legislature's decisions around that, Chair.
Okay, Attorney General. Why don't you state? Yeah.
Yes, Senator.
Okay. Because we're deleting section 237, and I think it was F as in Frank of the present bill. And we are incorporating a new the same section 237D-2, F as in Frank, we're imposing the $20 passenger port fee. So do we, because we're also deleting, I guess, what's part? Yeah, we're considering that page 8, with regards to F, we're considering deleting that. So with the imposition of the new $20 fee, do we need to, would that be addressed and taken care of if we look at, I guess, I assume section 3 and 4 on the distribution, would that suffice?
Senator,
Because a $20 fee now, we need to ensure that that
proposal was to
distribution.
delete Section F
Yeah.
and to replace
You
it with
recommend it.
language that would levy a $20 TAT for cabin and staterooms
So
above commercial
constitutionality.
passenger vessels, and to amend the definition of transit accommodation to include staterooms and commercial passenger vessels.
sorry, Senator, I haven't seen his testimony, so it's hard for me
Yeah,
to,
because it's new.
yes.
Yeah, and I understand, you know, there's going to be questions, but at least if it's addressed here, the bill is going to hopefully will pass with the recommended amendments, then it still goes to Ways and Means. Now, when it goes to Ways and Means, I would assume if there's new additions to a bill that is not being heard on the amendments we're going to be doing today. So when it goes to Ways and Means, and if we don't do a clean measure and it goes to Ways and Means, they don't hold a hearing, but just decision making. I'm just kind of concerned about that. So probably Ways and Means, you would think that they would hold another hearing.
So basically the ask of the AG was to delete the section 2 because of unconstitutionality.
Part 2.
Yeah,
Part
part
two.
2.
Part 2,
Sorry,
yeah.
part 2,
Right.
That's the ask.
So that's.
That was it.
If you
Yeah,
do
anything
lose
like
that, it's
anything
okay.
else, would there be, you know, recommendation other than that? He's not pretty much gonna be able to answer the rest, so
Okay,
that'll be wham to have the rest of that.
That's true. Thank you, Chair.
okay, okay.
Senator Elefante, sorry.
Yeah, well, I have a question for dole tax at the appropriate time.
Thanks.
Chairman,
I have a
thank you.
question for the
Thank you.
AG though, a question for the
Oh,
AG.
okay, hang, yeah, let me do that. Oh, sorry, okay.
Senator.
Just really quick, if we're talking about violations of the measure based on the title and so forth. Even though we make a change here, if it's a material change, even though we do it now cleanly, goes to Ways and Means, doesn't it supposedly still have to have passed 3 readings on the House side? Or a reading on the House side?
It probably will not be a violation in these particular circumstances because these are parts of the measure that had previously been introduced in the House. So you're just amending what the House did. The difference between that and part 2 was
No, I know the difference between part 1
thank
and part 2, but I'm just saying if we're adding in a tax that a new tax to a new segment that wasn't discussed and never went to a public hearing on the other side of the House, what's the opinion of the AG?
it should be okay. Given that I haven't really seen that particular change until just now.
Right, that's why I'm bringing it up.
So it's hard for me to really say for sure until we've really digested it back in the department.
Yeah, well, the question then is if it's an additional tax, a new tax on a segment that has not been discussed previously on the House side, even though we put it in now, does that violate our rules or what the Supreme Court ruled?
That's a very difficult question to answer and
Well,
until we
folks
see the
will Go back
substance.
and then
Yeah.
report back to us by the time we get to WAM.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Can I add, since you're here?
Sure.
I appreciate that. And I think we're looking at, the questions are reasonable. So there is a $20 current per night charge on the present bill. So it's not like a new tax but we're deleting it, you know, and I think that's the question. Yes, there's a new charge.
Yes, so basically the new add-on per testimony from Kikoa was to add on the $20 tax to cruise ship. The existing $20 is on the point situation on how they doing the reservation system through points.
As I said before, it's a difficult question to answer. It might be, because of the substance, it might be something for DOTAX to address, just because they're here and they might be more familiar with it than. Right.
Legality, Supreme Court saying that how many readings the measure of new stuff is introduced.
Right, Senator, you're talking.
Take that back.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Elefante.
Yes, request for dole tax. Thank you. Good afternoon, Deputy Director. So I have a question regarding page 6 in terms of miles, points, rewards. In your testimony, there were concerns that you offered comments in terms of how to enforce that. So can you explain a little more in detail? Would that be an enforcement issue? Would you need to hire more people if the language still existed?
Sure. So our testimony was focused on the fact that right now the TAT is imposed based on income. So that's easy for us to verify in books and documents. However, the points would be a change in how we currently audit and assess. And there are different types of points that are offered. From what I understand, there are points that are given directly from the hotels, points through third parties. So it would just be something that we're not currently doing that we would have to figure out how to do. And we're not thinking that right now we need positions. I think more it's a training issue and an understanding of how to go forward with enforcement.
Okay. Thank you.
Was
Thank
that your testimony during the hearings? Because this is a House Bills language.
Yes, I
Was
believe
that your testimony as well there?
I believe it was, yes.
Thank you.
Senator McKelvey.
Yes, a quick question. I mean, this may be for AG, if he's around. It's a lucky day, isn't it? Curiosity on the $20 charge on cruise ship rooms. I mean, just a quick Google to refresh my memory, states cannot apply a hotel tax on cruise ships. So how are we able to do this if that's generally the case?
It's not, sounds like it could be an issue. I don't really know.
Big issue, because I mean, this has come up in the past with Lahaina and other places which were inundated by cruise ships and applying a TAT or an impact fee. And at that time, DOE board said we couldn't do it. There's federal laws on the books insofar what the state can do with cruise ships, and it had to be limited to port fees to address the reasonable, I guess, impacts of the port. So this application of a new TAT on cruise ships seems to violate federal law.
I appreciate your comment. That sounds like it could, and until we see the actual suggested language, I can't really offer much more than that. But you probably brought up a valid issue.
Yeah, it's a pretty blanket thing. I mean, you can
Sounds
craft
like
the
it.
language all you want. You're still
Right.
being preempted by the federal government, right?
You're probably right.
So, and then one other quick question, and this may not be in your wheelhouse, but is it the $20 for free point stays? It's kind of an odd number. I mean, wouldn't it be better just to apply the TAT on the rate of the room normally? Or where, I guess, where did the $20 come from? And could it be visited as arbitrary or?
I don't think it's arbitrary. I do agree that it would be complicated to assess it through points and loyalty programs. That's something that I was discussing outside before this committee convened. It's we don't really know how it's going to be done, and I think DOTAX has some real questions about how it's going to be assessed.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me that.
Thank you. HTA, please. Daniel, so, you know, with the bill as it stands, what is the impacts to the tourism industry negatively if the TAT is to increase? Do we see a decline? And if we do, what kind of revenues we're looking at being
So
hit?
we haven't calculated the exact amounts on the impacts of a 1% increase in the tax. However, we do know as costs increase, and we are one of the highest cost or tax destination, as indicated by a lot of the business travelers. However, one of the requests that we are asking in our comments is that additional funding be put towards marketing to address some of those issues. So if we know we are a very high cost destination, and it will take additional marketing funds in order to overcome that barrier if we continue to increase the cost of the TAT. We can go back and work with Reed and DBED to do calculations on tax increases from historical numbers, but we don't have the data at this time.
So in your existing makeup of HTA, as we put the impact towards those fees, I mean, because if you look at the reservation systems, you have those that have come into Honolulu or any destination of Hawaii, and you have residents that come and stay at the hotels.
Yes.
Being hit with one fee that they're not going to parks and so forth. Yet they come here to doctors and they being hit with a fee. I mean, I think the young man said it earlier, Hanauma Bay was a perfect example of one fee at Hanauma Bay to address, those changes. Is that what we're looking at? Or since you guys also are part of the DMAP and oversight?
We have been tracking costs, increasing costs. Just in general, in terms of inflation itself has already put us very high in terms of the total amount that a visitor has to spend in their purse and their disposable income that they can use here in Hawaii. However, we continue to approach the high value visitor, but we are reaching into the upper levels, and increases in taxes will be very difficult to overcome some of that impression of us being an overpriced destination. And as I mentioned, that's why we need to work on this, both on the marketing side, as well as controlling additional expenses that may continue to impact the visitor's experience.
Thank you. Senator Kim.
Yes. So you're saying that to overcome the fact that we're highest tax and the tourists that just giving you more marketing dollars, you're going to be able to somehow smoke and mirrors to let them know that we're not?
We
we
continue
want
to
more money after that, and that's going to cost us more money too by giving you more money for marketing. So it seems kind of ludicrous that you're
think-
saying that we can overcome by giving you more marketing dollars.
I think that is our responsibility, and our Juliana is to market the destination to show that there is value. Of course, we have the high prices, so we continue to market to show where they can get the best value for the amount of money that they're going to spend here in Hawaii.
But you do that now with your marketing. So what
And we know
additional
we're
things
faced-
are you going to do with more money that go? I'm just saying, let's be realistic. At some point, if they don't want to pay more taxes, I don't care how much you market, they may not still want to come. And the difference with Hanauma Bay and this tax is that tourists have a choice. They don't have to go to Hanauma Bay, right? If they don't want to pay the fee, they don't have to go to Hanauma Bay. But they don't have a choice about going to a room. They need a hotel room. So that's a big difference, and it's mandatory. So
all fees across the board will at some point create a barrier to travel here. Their overall cost of their trip here, right? Including, they want to come to do experiences.
Right.
So, in our statute is to control and monitor that excessive cost does not become a barrier. We feel at this point, we can still market this destination, but if we continue to keep adding this fee and this tax, and as well as other fees, there will be a point that we will have a difficulty. But right now, we feel marketing can help.
we don't know what that point is at this point, however, right? But to say that we're going to need more marketing dollars, I guess I take issue to that. So thank you.
Senator Wakar.
Thanks, Daniel. I recall like a dozen years ago, we had the same issue about raising the TAT by 1%. That was to fund rail at the time. And the same arguments were put forth by the hotel industry that this is going to decimate tourism. And what happened was tourism continued to boom, right? I think at 2012 time period, we had like 7 million visitors, and then we topped out at 10 million in 2019. So all of this discussion about an increase in the TAT hurting tourism, that never materialized in the last time we contemplated a move like this, correct?
Correct, but at the same time, we did increase the amount of effort we did on getting the information out, both on leisure and business. So addressing some of the marketing issues and showing that there are alternatives, that they can have savings, have different experiences, and still stay within the purse of their allowable disposable income. So it takes effort on our side in order to continue to address some of the costs of this destination.
I don't recall that. I mean, at a certain point, I think in 2019 or so, your budget actually got cut, right? You had the dedicated funding and all of a sudden it got cut and down to like $72 million, or was it hovering at 90 million that went down during that time? So
after that point, and of course, yeah, we did see actually a collapse. And now we are having difficulty bringing visitors back to Maui because experiences are not there. And that will take additional information, training with travel agents, addressing some of the concerns and issues, and developing new products and experiences that can be reasonably priced while here. And that's our role as a marketing organization for the state.
You know, in this room, I'm hearing just two incongruent ideas. One, that we got to go cheaper, that, you know, this increase is going to get us a smaller number of tourists, and there's fear of that. But at the same token, we have this mandate through HTA that we have to go after the higher spending visitor. So what is it? Are we going to, as a community, going to chase higher spending visitors, which this will add to that mission? Or are we going to go after the kind of the cheaper wholesale visitor and try to put Hawaii on sale? I don't quite understand like how we can juxtaposition both of these arguments at the same time in this room.
Right, and I agree with you. Our stance at the Hawaii Tourism Authority and our marketing strategy is for the higher value, higher spending visitor.
Which we'll get if we put this 1% on. We're going to make Hawaii more expensive, but that's exactly the church.
More expensive does not mean a higher value visitor. We still have to go to those who are affluent, who have the spending and the budget. So at some point, even rich people, they get rich because they know how to spend their money wisely. So there is a point of diminishing returns on this.
Thank you, Chair.
Senator Inouye.
Yes, Governor's Office. Thank you, Daniel. The governor's original bill and the recommendation as well, you had stuck with it during your testimony in the House. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when you look at, and when we all look at the TAT increase on the governor's proposal, it was only 1.1%.
Now.
Yes.
Yes, correct.
And that would address all of the issues with that message to take care of as well the title of the bill. Because the intent and the title of the bill is an act relating to environmental stewardship. So it's, I think, from the current $10 that we're already being received on the TAT to the 1% would increase it to the 11.25%.
Correct.
And with that discussion, how do you see the recommendation from the committee is not to look at the $20 that the House measure had called, but the $20 to apply to the ship, the passengers. Okay. So do you see that as charging more than to a visitor, but only looking at that destination visitors? Because if you're on the cruise ship, if the ridership declines, then we may not reach a goal. So would you think that the $20 we're doing for the passengers on cruise ships would address the issue with regards to the title and the concern that the governor had with regards to addressing the impacts of our, the natural resources to be continued as the testimony has been here, making sure that we address all of the issues we're already experiencing, that we don't have income or general fund monies to address our resources.
Got it. So, sorry, let me go back, just make sure I'm understanding. So if we're talking about the $20 fee, so the governor believes that, you know, all of our visitors should be, you know, paying whatever, you know, fees or contributing to, you know, the impact, excuse me, that we have on our natural resources. So this is also new language, but I think it's, you know, it's indicative of the issue of that we're trying to look at the short-term rentals, the cruise lines, all these folks that come in. So I think in that respect, we are supportive of that. Whether the $20 and all those, those you know, details actually play out, I think we just have to have a little bit more discussion. This has come up, you know, rather quickly. But again, we are supportive of that. As far as how it relates to the title, I'm not a lawyer by trade, so I would defer to our Attorney General, those things. But in my mind, as a layman a little bit, if we're talking about environmental stewardship, that covers a wide variety of areas, right? So it's mitigation, it's preparing these things, it's, you know, the environmental side of, you know, our parks and all those things too, right? So it runs the gamut. And I think this, in my mind, this funding can be used for all of those things, including resources that are located within resort or tourism areas so that we can address issues separate and apart from marketing. That's a different discussion.
Well, I like the discussion with regards to all of those B&Bs and those vacation rentals that are doing illegal business. But it seems like we're trying to address that issue in an amendment version in this case.
Right. And Senator, I would say, you know, I think those are very important. We've been working closely with DOTAX and industry to figure out a mechanism that we can, again, for those folks that are supposed to be paying these taxes, to capture that. But I think part of this is, you know, that's a process that's going to take time for a variety of reasons. And I think we're at a point, because of what's happened and what we're facing, that we need to invest in our mitigation efforts now. And so we can't wait another how many years to do this. And I think this gets us there a lot quicker.
Okay, so when you look at 504 and you look at 1396 on the Senate version, on the amendments that went to the House with a clear amendment to the original 1396, what is the governor's position and your position?
So, I mean, 1396.
Because we kept your TAT at 1%.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. And actually, just to be clear, we have been asking 1.75%. And hearing the concerns from the industry, we offered to, you know, to the legislature for consideration to reduce that to 1%. So I think we're kind of there, right? So what was sent over to the House was a little bit cleaner to some extent. But the one thing I think was missing from this, and I think I expressed in our testimony prior, was there was no mechanism to grow that money, a special fund or all those things. In this bill, it came over, while it may not be workable at this time, we offered some language to amend the special fund to make it a little bit more in line. I think the BNF director at one point mentioned this, in line with a standard special fund. We would still look at that to capitalize that fund and then be able to possibly bond off of that. And then we could, you know, increase those funds that are coming in, so we don't have to look at additional general fund appropriations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? So Will, I heard what you just said, that you guys want all visitors should be paying, right? All visitors should be paying, which I agree. So, in fact, Ryan, if you would come up, please, Ryan. While we're looking at all visitors paying, I think we got a mechanism, I believe, that in the event of we're looking at invasive species, good stewardship, which is truly what this bill is about, stewardship. Why hasn't It been moved faster with the transfer of the lands from DLNR, moved faster to the Department of Ag, because the best stewardship we got right now is the ranchers. So why haven't you guys moved that out? So we could look at less manpower trying to clear up lands that you guys are putting into conservation that have been taken over by invasives. Why has that not happened yet to get those lands moved out while we're trying to incur and address environmental stewardship?
I think as far as the progress for Act 90 goes and the impasse that has happened over the past 20 years, I can't speak for the past 19 years, but I know in the past year, we've doubled the amount of acreage that has gone over to the Department of Agriculture.
But you folks have taken away lands that ranchers have maintained and managed properly for the overgrowth of invasive species, of which, whether it be biosecurity, whether it be environmental stewardship, that we're charging the price tag to everybody now, whether they're coming in as a visitor or they're coming in from the neighbor islands to come to Oahu or whatever island for doctors and the necessity of things. So your guys' department has asked us for a chunk load of monies. Try moving that over and let them deal with all the invasives and the overgrowths of albees and everything else.
You know, I think each parcel and the issues that kind of we have to address on each parcel, they're different. And I don't know the specific, parcels we're talking about here. I know generally.
It was all of Act, not of, it was all of those lands that was been there for over 20-something years. In fact, I believe Senator Inouye was the one who instigated it. But every bill that I've looked at on your guys' requests have been about stewardship, has been about fire mitigation. And these ranches that have taken very good care, controlled fireweed, would have been the fire mitigation that we would have had, and the protection would have been Lahaina or any other place. But we move into this other area because we want the federal money so that we can grow trees that after yesterday's meeting with the ranchers have died. So what kind of stewardship are you guys doing? And you guys asking us for money in your testimony, which just blows my mind away. How you guys, if you guys want to address something, look at the guys who's doing a good job.
So I just will say that stewardship goes beyond the lease, the agriculture lease issue.
But start somewhere. You guys want to like do everything. If you just start someplace, I think that would kind of help. But in the meantime, we're taking them away. We're expecting them for grow food. We're expecting everybody for buy local. We like the schools have local in there, but you guys have been on blocker for that. So how, you guys just got to start addressing areas that you can help and those that you cannot, you got to focus elsewhere. But to do this and ask for us to do the taxes on some of this stuff is beyond me, especially when you get groups like Careful Aina now that have volunteered their times with that and fish ponds and lo'is. I don't even know where you guys coming from half the times.
Yeah, just for those out there, because we're tourism people more or less, yesterday's hearings were had to do with agriculture lands on DLNR and the forestry division. There's 4 ranchers that are already existing that we're taking away. As an example, most on the Big Island. As an example, a rancher has like 6,000 acres and in 2 parcels, and forestry wants to take one at 3,000 acres away from a rancher who needs to survive. But there's an issue that goes beyond. It's taking lands away from current cattle ranchers to address the role that forestry wants to increase forestry. And so that's the division that our chair is very concerned as well. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Question.
So, Senator Kim.
So DLNR, I'm looking at the bill on page 7, where they're talking about where these monies and these funds that are going to be spent. And we're looking at 1% being approximately $90 million that we're looking at. Okay, so $90 million, and with the intent not to come in and ask us for general funds, right? That's the intent.
That's it.
For the
Correct.
dedicated funding. Okay, so we're looking on page 7 on the bottom, starting on page 17. And I'm just concerned as far as what are the priorities going to be? And is it going to supplement your current budget or what?
Okay.
Because it says here, protect, restore, enhance state's natural resources, including native forests, native plants, animals, aquatic resources, coastal lands, and freshwater resources, and promote economic development relating to tourism industry. So that's a whole bunch of stuff, right? That's possibly what you supposedly already do. Then that's only number 1. Number 2, address climate change impacts, including projects that mitigate, adapt to, increase resiliency against climate change. These projects may include vegetation management, reduce wildlife risk, wildfire risk, coastal environmental and so on and so on. Okay, now number 3, promote a sustainable tourism models and destination management to reduce visitor impacts in the natural environment. And then finally, ensure that the state's natural resources are maintained for future visitors. So it seems like $90 million, you're not going to be able to do all of this, right? So what are you going to prioritize? Because I agree that invasive species is not even spoken in this, and invasive species very much impact not just the visitor, but all of us, and will be the death of us probably before climate change. So how do we address that? Because it's easy to get dedicated funding, easy to say you want 90 million, you want to take care of climate change, but let's just see how it's going to be delivered, because I have been here long enough to see that we give you guys a lot of money and a lot of things don't get done. I mean, we've been fighting invasive species. Yesterday, we talked about it in committee. How many years it's going to take? You're telling us maybe not till 2027 that we're going to have these tests. It's going to take us 9 months to even test one thing for sewer and cesspools. So how are you going to, what is the plan to deliver this so that the people sitting out there are not fooled when their projects are not addressed?
So Senator, can I answer the first part, and I'll defer to DLNR on the invasive species. So what we propose in our testimony, I think you're correct that that the ability of one department to move out these projects in multiple areas is probably challenging.
And who decides what gets going first?
I'm sorry?
And who decides what gets addressed first?
Right, exactly. So I think what we've proposed here is that we look at multiple expending agencies if we want to get into, I mean, we have climate mitigation resiliency work happening with DOT, DLNR, Department of Defense, so it's across the board. And one of the things that we heard from the legislature prior was wanting to have a say in how some of those are prioritized and appropriated out of there, right? So, we have been working on, which we're going to be transmitting to the legislature, a initial plan of several $100 million in projects across multiple departments to address these 3 distinct areas broken down by expending agencies. So that's hopefully to address that concern that will these projects move in a timely manner? We hope so with this structure.
Okay, well, I fear that a lot of this will go to consultants, and so many millions of dollars go to consultants and does not actually go.
That's
to
where
the
it
project.
seems it's going in this bill.
Yeah.
Consultants, personnel,
Exactly.
contracts, and administrative
Exactly.
costs.
So at the end of the day, what's left to actually address all of these issues?
And
So
just
don't
to,
be fooled, you guys, by the fact that we've got this money.
and just to remind everybody, we're looking at a House bill and House language. So just to make that correction as well.
Senator Awa.
Are you guys done with DLNR?
Yep.
You guys off the hook. AG, please.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Will.
Senator Awa.
This is just a general question, not specific to this, but since we're on the topic, can Kama'aina be exempt from TAT?
Tax has got to be equal.
Yeah, gotta be equal. Yeah,
Hardly.
cannot discriminate.
I I hesitate to answer that particular question. I don't know what circumstances that you're thinking of in particular, but under equal protection, yes, so they would not be able to be exempt.
Exactly.
Thanks. I mean, I read it. I just wanted to hear it. Since we're talking about raising taxes on tourists and then locals will be forced to pay, for anybody in the media watching, there's the answer.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll recess for decision making. Okay, we are decision making on HB 504 relating to environmental stewardship. We are gonna move this bill, pass this bill with an ST1 by deleting part 2 of the bill as recommended by the Attorney General due to legal and constitutional concerns. Also include the recommendations made by American Hotel and Lodging Association and the Hawaii Hotel Alliance to make various amendments to the preamble in section 1 to include commercial passenger vessels as well as the definition of transient accommodations in sections 237-D-1. Delete the proposed language in section 237-2F that raised concerns with DOE tax and incorporate a new 237-D-2F to impose a tax of $20 per passenger per port entry. Also include the 2 amendments recommended by the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council, which will help us reach our goal of improving environmental stewardship as well as address invasive species. And add a new section to establish a working group on a TAT enforcement to be led by DOE tax and chaired by the director for the purpose of ensuring that all transient accommodations subject to the TAT pay what is due. Working group members shall include a representative from the departments responsible for collecting the TAT from each of the 4 counties, representatives from the hotel and lodging industry, timeshare operator, a short-term rental organization, other individuals that may be invited by the chair. The working group shall report its findings and recommendations, including any proposed legislation, to the 2026 legislature, and also incorporate in the committee report the recommendations from the governor's office that related to fiscal matters that can be considered by the next committee and make any necessary technical amendments. Any discussion?
Yes.
Chair.
Thank you, Chair, for working on this measure. I have some reservations with regards to the $20 per passenger per entry fee. When you think there's another consideration that this body, the Senate, sent over to the House on SB 1396 with regards to the governor's proposal. And I think there were a lot of amendments to that measure as well, which we already sent to the House with the majority of the Senate's concurrence. So I'd like that portion of my statement be put into the committee report. I will concur to move this measure for continued discussions as well, since it goes to the Committee on Ways and Means. With that said, but I think probably, I mean, it's not probably, the measure that we sent to the House was exactly what the governor's package included, the measure that was related to environmental stewardship. Okay, with that said, we'll agree to move the measure with the suggested amendments. Hopefully that the committee report will include the reservations that we should consider SB 1396. Thank you.
Sounds good. Any future, Senator McKelvey?
Thank you so much. I want to really thank you, Chair, for working on this. You made a lot of improvements to the bill. I still have concerns. One of them is the fact that most cruise ships are foreign flag vessels. I don't believe there are any American flag vessels operating. They're all built in France, and thanks to the Passenger Vessel Act of 1886, they're all foreign flag vessels. So I don't know if we have the legal ability to do this, although I guess the federal government is also looking to apply taxes to them. Thank you for getting rid of that second section. But I guess another one of my concerns, and I'll just be honest with you people, and I look to my environmental friends because I've supported numerous bills and voted against bills because of the environment, but we got Medicaid is going to be destroyed soon. We've got kids who may not be able to get free meals anymore. I hope as this bill moves that there could be strong consideration that the revenues raised for this will protect our state against these cuts. We got to ensure our kids can eat. We got to ensure our people can get medical care, and it's the Laszlo hierarchy of needs. So with that, I'm going with reservation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? You know, and that is the reason why I want to keep the bill alive, is so that we can continue to have that discussion. We can weed out where we got to weed out on partners that we already have to address some of the concerns I think that we all shared today. So with that being said, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
I vote with reservation. Senator Fukunaga. Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Awa.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
For the Committee on Water and Land, Chair's recommendation on HB 504 House Draft 2 to pass with amendments. Any discussions on water and land? Okay, hearing none. Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang is excused. Senator McKelvey
Reservation.
with reservation. Senator DeCourt.
No.
Madam Chair, recommendations adopted.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. With that, we are adjourned. Hello and welcome to the hearing with the Senate Committees on Economic Development, Tourism, and Agriculture and Environment. Today is March 18th, 2025, and this is our 101 PM agenda. We're in conference room 229. This agenda is 3 House bills and 1 resolution, Senate concurrent resolution. First on the agenda is HB 348 relating to single-use plastics. First up, Environmental Administration, Department of Health, with comments. Hannah Lely, Hawaii Regional Manager, Surf Rider Foundation, in support. Ted Bolin, I'm earlier, with support. Laura Breer with support. Bernadette Lee with support. I have about 10 other people in support and with comments. Anybody in the room willing to, wanting to testify on this measure? Seeing none, members, any questions? Okay, moving on. HB 496 relating to Mamakiti. First up, Department of Ag, Sharon Hurd. In support, in person, Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau. In support, anybody else wishing to testify in this measure? Any questions? To nobody that came for testifying? Okay. Moving on to HB 774 relating to value-added products. Establishes a food and product innovation network within the Agribusiness Development Corporation. First up, Department of Ag in support. Next up, DBED, Dean.
Chairs, Vice Chairs, DBED, stand on the testimony.
Thank you. Next up, Wendy Gady, Agribusiness Development Corporation.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, ABC, I'm Wendy Gady, and we stand very strong support. It's a vote for food equity and economic equity.
Thank you. Going back to the Department of Ag, who just walked in the door. You're up.
Thank you, Chair. The department stands on its written testimony and support.
Thank you. Next up, University of Hawaii Systems, Della Terra Oka.
On behalf of the community colleges, Carlos Peñalosa, we stand on our rich testimony and support.
Thank you. Next up, Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau, in support. Next up, Laura Zerbel. Laura Zerbel testifying for a food industry.
Not present on Zoom. Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, in support. Michael Minakata for Ulupono, in support. HFIA. HFIA. Guy Sellier, in support. Julian Chiabu, Hawaii Food and Policy, in support. Pam Tuba, Maui Chamber of Commerce, in support. Glenn Hagamita, also in support. Anybody else wishing to testify on this measure? Any questions? Okay.
Is there a cost to this program?
Cause, please.
Thank you. Senator, there's no cost to the program itself, but for the facilities for the county of Hawaii and Maui, we're asking for planning funds. 350,000 total, which breaks down to 175,000 per county. So we can partner with UH to do the proof of concept and design of the manufacturing facilities. Oahu is currently under planning right now, and then future, we already have the site for Kauai. We'll ask for those funds later.
I just want to make a statement to UH because they always come in and say, yes, we support this, but as long as it doesn't affect our budget, you need to tell us where you think the money should come from, because it's got to come from somewhere. And trust me, it's probably going to come out of UH's budget. So you should, when you guys testify in support, that's your priority, then great.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, moving on to SCR 141. Sorry.
That's fine.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
And SR 159, urging the Department of Agriculture to collaborate with the Agribusiness Development Corporation regarding grant funding opportunities with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Department of Ag.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Gates, here on behalf of the Department of Agriculture. The department stands on written testimony, bring support to this measure.
Thank you, Senator. EDC.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Wendy Beatty, EDC, we stand in strong written support.
Thank you, Wendy. Hawaii Farm Bureau. Brian Miyamoto, also in support. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Hearing none, any questions? Okay, sure.
We'll straight to decision making. Okay, first up, HB 348 relating to single-use plastics. We are gonna pass this with an SD1 by removing the reference to lotion and the definition of personal care product on page 5 and delay the effective date to July 1st of 2026 to enable lodging establishments to use up their existing stock of personal care products. Making any necessary technical amendments and noting in the committee report the concerns expressed by the Department of Health relating to the need to provide funding so they can enforce this bill if it passes. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga. Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Owa.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
On 348. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator DeCoy,
Aye.
Senator Rhodes,
Aye.
Senator Awa.
Aye.
Carry of 5 in favor.
Thank you, members.
Next up, HB 496 relating to Mamaki tea. We are, since the bill already has a defective date and a blank appropriations amount, we are passing this bill as is. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Owa.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Same recommendation for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
On 496, passing as is, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator DeCoy,
Aye.
Senator Rhodes,
Aye.
Senator Awa.
Aye.
Carry of 5 in favor, adopted.
Thank you, members.
Next up, HB 774 relating to value-added products. The recommendation is to pass this bill as is. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Owa.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Same recommendations for AEN. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On HB 774, House Draft 2, Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator DeCoy,
Aye.
Senator Rhodes,
Aye.
Senator Awa.
Aye.
Thank
5
you.
in favor.
Economic Development and Tourism Committee, same recommendation for SCR 141 SR 1. Oh, sorry.
Recommendation on SCR 151, SR 159 is to pass with tech amendments. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On SCR 141 and SR 159, pass with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator DeCoy,
Aye.
Senator Rhodes,
Aye.
Senator Watt.
Aye.
5 in favor. They are adopted.
Thank you, members.
Committee on Economic Development and Tourism, same recommendation. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Owa.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. With that, we are adjourned. To the hearing with the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism. Today is March 18, 2025. This is our 1:02 p.m. agenda and we're in conference room 229. We have one bill on this agenda, so we'll go ahead and get started with HB 454 relating to the Hawai'i Technology Development Corporation. First up on the testifiers list is Interim Executive Director Sandy Kanimori testifying for Hawai'i Technology Development Corporation.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, waiting away, speaking for Sandy County Maury, we see strong supports, this bill, and thank you for getting this bill heard.
Thank you. Next up, Joshua Wish, Holomo Collaborative.
Chair, we'll stand on our testimony and support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, testifying for Chamber of Commerce, Sherry Manor.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Tom Boyd, for the Chamber of Commerce, standing on our testimony and support. Here for any questions.
Thank you. Next up, Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau in support. Next up, Oceanit Laboratories, Patrick Sullivan.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Judy Morris for Oceanit. I know you know Oceanit, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary this year. And as you know, we do a lot of tech and research and development. And so we really strongly support the small business research innovation grants. We have employed about 400 interns. You know, this SIPR grant supports economic growth and diversification in Hawaii's economy, launches new ventures and technology innovations, supports growth of the tech industry, and the creation of intellectual property and innovation in the state. And also we always want our keikis that we educate in the mainland to come back so they can work for companies like Ocean. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, testimony for the Art Source Inc., Kent Unterman.
Chairs, vice chairs, and members of the committee, Kent Unterman, the Art Source Inc., strongly in favor for 3 key reasons. Number one, the HTGC has done a great job in helping small business. As a small business owner, I don't believe the state does enough for small business. And so this is a good thing for small business. And number 3, I'm very concerned about tariffs with our kind of crazy president doing crazy tariff things. It's going to hurt our economy. It's going to hurt small business, and it's going to affect Hawaii a lot. On a positive note, just wanted to share our business started 38 years ago at the Aloha Stadium swap meet. We have 170 employees. We measure our success by average hourly wage, which I'm proud to say was $34 in the fourth quarter of last year, almost $70,000 a year for 170 employees. We just put $800,000 printer in place. It's the best printer in the world, and we're going to be exporting $1.2 million of banners to hospitals on the mainland. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right on the nose, too. $34 an hour. What am I doing working? Yeah, no. Next up, Lauren Zerbo for Hawaii Food Industry Association on Zoom.
Not available on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. Neil Anthony Sims for Ocean Era Inc. on Zoom.
My name's Neil Anthony Sims. I'm the founder and CEO of Ocean Era Inc., based here at the Natural Energy Lab in Kona. Our company strongly supports this bill, HB 454. Yes, we understand there are short-term budget constraints, but a budget should also reflect the state's long-term aspirations and the need to build Hawaii as a center for small business innovation and economic development. And HTDC does a fantastic job of supporting this early stage R&D. Their SBIR program has been invaluable to the success of our company and marine fish and limu farming in Hawaii. I speak some more about this in my written testimony, but I also provide there an example of how critically important the matching funds are for us to be able to build on that. The matching funds allow us then to be able to bring in other federal dollars. So we're really grateful for your continuing support for this program. It really is critical to our success as a small business R&D. Thank you. Aloha.
Thank you. Next up, Roz Funakoshi in support. Damis Kanahele, Nakoa Brand LLC in support. Jimmy Freeze, Fish in support. I have, oh, she don't, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is that me?
Yes.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Shenwa Farnsworth. I'm the managing partner at Blue Startups. Strongly support this bill. We would not be able to do all the great programs we can without the HTDC accelerator funding. This is critical to our mission. We just got back last week from a boot camp on Maui where we did a 2-day workshop for 25 small businesses on Maui completely for free. That is because we are getting support from the state accelerator funds. So crucial to us to continue to do that good work. Thank you very much. Stand on our testimony.
Thank you. Next up, David Holt, testifying for Blue Startups in support. I have about 15 other people in support. And not sure if you guys on Zoom, if you are, show yourself. If not, anybody else in the room wishing to testify? Seeing none, members, any questions? Seeing none, okay. Decision making, okay, first up and only up, HB 454 relating to a technology development corporation. This bill already has an effective date and a blank appropriation. We're gonna pass this measure as is. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Awa.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. With that, we are adjourned.